When I went to graduate school, I decided I was intrigued by the New School for Social Research. I thought I'd go there, and someone had told me about the YIVO Institute. A relative, an aunt, had told me about the YIVO Institute, and I think that actually Ruth Weiss had led a tour to New York from Jewish Studies, McGill Jewish Studies, and I went on that, and we had a session at the YIVO Institute. So, you know, I looked at the catalogs, I was intrigued by what they were teaching, and I started taking courses there. It was very old worldly in many ways, in both the positive and negative aspects of that. You know, it's kind of, it was an old type scholarship, very positivist in orientation, very document oriented. It really hadn't been influenced at all by what was taking place in humanities elsewhere in the country. Yeah, and I always felt, I mean, certainly there was sort of an in-joke at YIVO at the time that, you know, the secret language of YIVO was not Yiddish, but Polish, so that if, you know, things were really important, really serious, the conversation would immediately switch into Polish. And there was also a certain sense of hierarchy that the kids who were, you know, the students who were here and there would be a student who had been, or a young person would hang out there who was a child of one of the survivors of the Warsaw Ghetto. This was like an elite within it. So it had that kind of in-groupness to it and very staidness. On the other hand, you know, it was a very interesting place. I mean, the people, again, like that experience I had when I entered the Perechol, that you know, was a language and culture which was somewhat foreign to me. I mean, certainly, I no longer had much fluency in Yiddish when I entered graduate school, so I had to relearn it. And you know, I was intrigued by these people and by their culture and by their experience. I had no Polish connection. I had no interest in Poland when I started graduate school. And suddenly I was introduced to people who were some of them very Polonized, many of them very Polonized, and that sort of, you know, I became interested in their fantasy life, and their cultural imaginary became part of mine in a sense. So, you know, I was just reading a paper in which, you know, part of it was talking about ski jumping in Zakopane in the 1920s, and you know, it's like, it's funny, Zakopane means something to me at this point. Well, how would, you know, a Jewish boy growing up in suburban Montreal, who would care about Zakopane? But I sort of like, it's become part of my world. You know?